In this movie, we're going to create a logo for Allied Machinery. And this is going to be done by vectorizing an image and then applying a rapid texture to the part to create a nice textured sign. All right, so let's start off here by importing a file, and I have a couple bitmaps here. The first one looks like just the logo itself. So I'm going to come here and hit vectorize, enhance curves, OK. And I can get rid of my original now here, zoom in here, and this looks like it's going to work for us. Now let's come here, and actually I'll just move that right below the material, because when I import my bitmap, it's going to come along the bottom of the plate down here at 0, 0. Now this gives me an idea of what the overall look of the bitmap should be, or the logo should be, and I'm also going to vectorize this one and see what kind of contours I get. And let's just move this out of the way here for a minute. Now, because this was a fairly low resolution image, the text I get, it's not too bad, but I can probably just easily retype this text and get a better effect. But this does tell me a little bit more about what the logo should look like. So it looks like this is a little bit distorted. I'm just going to straighten this out. And if I wanted to, I could come over here and just draw a little circle. Let's turn off this snap. Just kind of approximate it in the middle here. All right, that looks pretty round. Just want to make sure that I've got it pretty round, pretty much a round shape here. So that will suffice as my logo there. Now I'm just going to come to this text, and just looking at the text, I see some little serifs there, which kind of reminds me of Times New Roman. So I'm going to come here to the text tool. I'll go down here to my list, Times New Roman, and I'm going to choose regular. I'm going to choose a 3-inch font, but I'll probably resize it when I'm done. Maybe we'll make it a 5-inch font. And we're going to type in 0 for that. Allied Machinery Inc. All right, so there we have our text. Now I'm going to take it and resize it. And I can just actually put this corner down here and just kind of make it match up with the existing text there. Right, so we're going to just bring this down here. Looks like this logo is a lot bigger than this other one, so I'm just going to hold my shift key as I resize that. That'll keep it scaled in the X and Y proportionally. And I can zoom in here pretty quickly there. Alright, so this is looking more or less about the same size. I'm not going to be too worried about the accuracy of that. All right, now let's just take this one and move this up out of the way. And I'm going to move this over to the corner. Make sure my text is spelled correctly and I didn't make any mistakes there. And I'll see that this line just seems to be coming out right about the bottom of the text here. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, use the 2 corners tool, start one of them just down here. And now I'll select this and see how tall it is. It's about 0.54, so that seems pretty good. We'll come in here and line this up just a little bit more. All right, now I can go to point edit mode real quick and just move this piece over. And I'll select both of these and weld that together. So now that's just coming out of the bottom there. Now I'm going to position this text. And if I zoom in, if I hold my shift key as I hit the arrow, then it's just going to move it however many pixels are part of my snap. And I just want to see that overlap just a little bit there. Now I'm going to convert this to curves. Let's come here and go to the point edit mode, which is a good way to stretch out the line without actually changing the size of it in any other manner. So that's kind of a a way to resize something without changing the other attributes here. Just by going to point edit mode and holding the shift key down keeps it from moving any X or Y. Now I'm going to select everything here and go to weld again. Now that's kind of just welded all this text together. So that looks a lot like our logo here. Now I'm going to take this and resize it a little bit. Looks like my Y is a lot bigger than I need it to be for this particular size sign. So, oh, I see this is a pretty big file here. Let's think about what size we might want the part to be. So I'm going to say 36 by 8. All right, now we'll make our part fit in here accordingly, and I'm just going to line up this lower left-hand corner about where I want it. Hold my shift key and bring these other side in, and holding that shift will keep everything proportional. Now this is some pretty detailed text in here, so I'm going to use a V-groove tool because that's going to allow the little pointy area to get into the detail, and then as it goes down it removes more material. So that's a pretty effective way to get good detail here. I have a border size here of 36 by 8. So I'm going to draw a few more shapes here, and the first one I'll do is the actual part itself, 36 by 8, and let's make this at a position of 0, 0. And now I can either inline this or draw another shape, so I'm just going to come in here and go to the offset tool, and let's do a 0.75 inch offset, inline, square, apply. And just to see if there's something funny going on there, I'm going to do a little cleanup here. I have removed quite a bit of points there. Let's try and offset this one more time. For some reason it's giving us a little message there, but it still should let us create the offset value here. So I'm going to say 0.25 rounded, and we can decide if we want to go how deep. Since this is a little more detailed, I'm just going to go 0.125 here. All right, now we're going to say apply. So now we have our text, and we also have our original border and the original text that it came with. And now I'm going to go ahead and group those again. Okay, so now we're going to do a little rapid texture here. And what I'm going to do is start off by drawing a flat, no thickness part across the plate here. I'm going to come to the rapid texture tool, which I can get to in the surface menu, or here's a button for it. And I'm going to click on this border of the inline and outline of the border and the text. And now I'm going to mask the texture to apply just in this area. So I'm going to change my overlap to 0 here. And we're just going to simulate a little sandblast look. So we have a wavelength of 3 inches. And the offset, horizontal, and vertical amplitude are all 1.2 inches, meaning we're not going to move a whole lot as we randomly distort the lines going back and forth. So I have randomize and noise checked, and I'm going to hit apply. All right, so this is just giving us a look where we can see the rapid texture going back and forth. I'm going to select the texture, then select the inside parts here. Now I'm going to go here and say I want to make this bottom of this at 0.125. So I'm going to say minus 0.125 here. And now I'm going to apply a V-groove tool. So I'm going to say 90-degree V-groove tool. 0.25 inch depth, but I'm actually going to tell it to follow the contour. About 200 inches a minute, that's fine. Actually, let's put 250 for all these. And we'll hit apply. I'm going to go ahead and group these. I always like to do that to make it easy to go in there and select it if I need to. Now I'm going to select my original text, which is still grouped with this outer border. I'm going to go back here and use this same V-groove tool. Let's go to 0.125. The same as the offset amount, and I'm going to do a 3D engrave internal. Same feed rate, and that's going to clear out around this text. Now I will actually come here and put a routing offset to cut this out when it's done. But first let's come here and get an idea of what this is going to look like. So here you're going to see a simulated sandblast look with the Allied Machinery logo in the middle of it. Alright, now the cutout toolpath, I'm going to use a 3/8" end mill. So I'll come here to the routing offset button and our strategy, and I can select from my list of available tools and tell it I want to see end mills, but I already have a routing offset strategy I'm going to use here. I'm just going to adjust the depth to 0.75, and I'd have to think about if I want to put bridges there, I would put bridges. That's a fairly good sized piece, but maybe I want to go ahead and do it with an onion skin, which means that the second tool path, the second pass is going to just cut a little bit of material. All right, now let's slow this down to about 500. And you can change that if you want as well. And we have a 3D entry exit here as well. So this is going to help, hopefully, to keep the part from moving. Now we might go ahead and either make the material the size of a 4x8 sheet, if you want to do that, or we can just leave it here. Oftentimes if I'm cutting a job like this, so I would use up more of the y-axis than the x-axis, I might come in here and rotate this job 90 degrees. And in case somebody's walking by, I'm actually going to do this an extra 180, as it's being cut, that way you can see the name of the company there. All right, we don't really need this, that's just a straight line. Let's hit Control-1 to move that to the corner, and if you want to move it in off the edge of the plate a little bit, we can do that. So now we have our part selected. Now we're going to go up here and make sure that our driver setup is correct, and we have our on-screw driver. Let's make sure the tools are located here. So in this tool, and I'm not sure which tools are which, but here we've got a V-groove tool, and for our cutout tool path, we're going to have a 3/8" end mill. All right, so we have both of these tools now accounted for. And when we do our output file, we're just going to output this on the desktop. We're going to make sure we're doing our engrave first and then the offset mail. We're going to go to File, and we'll call this Allied Sandblast. All right, and hit save. Now for this particular file, we did a surface on top of plate. If we're going to surface on top the spoil board, then I need to change this to surface at bottom of plate. So that is one of the variables we're going to find out before cutting the job. Now we can go to the solutions menu and go to backplot. And backplot is a little Gcode previewer that we're going to give you. And we can go here. Let's sort this by the date modified. And this will show us the image. And of course we can come here and look at this in multiple views. We can see the cutout toolpath and all of the toolpaths that did the actual cut. And we can go to statistics and see that we're cutting, actually it says 1904, so we're outputting millimeters in this particular file. If I want to change that to inches, and I can do that here in the driver setup and change the driver units. So this would just be set up to meet however the machine itself is set up. All right, so that's how you go about designing, toolpathing, and outputting a 3D textured toolpath and sign with Enroute software.